to our second Tuttle Time video. Today we are showing how I did the beautiful Tuttle ribbing on my rainbow sock after completing 3 wedges in the toe and in the heel. Join me as I start ribbing on the last heel round when half the needles are still out of work. You need to turn your shell drive into cylinder drive when your yarn carrier is in an area of needles out of work. So I've done that, I've made that change, and I'm taking this and I'm wrapping it around the next needle that's out of work before I come back around and making sure that my take-up wire is off, my yarn is not in it, I have my weights, though I do need to distribute that weight just a little bit better. So you want the center wedge and the 2 points, the highest 2 points on the center wedge, much the same as you would if you were doing a regular shaping of a heel. Alrighty. So I'm going to hold on to this to change direction. And as I come around here, I'm going to stop at about that position. So this lines up with yellow, and the 2 red dots here line up with red. Line up like that, where the yellow is right here and the red is right here. And this was what I was aiming for, was the red in line with my little door, which allows me access to the needles to take them, lift them up. The first ones are kind of hard. Turn it around, lift it, and slip it in like that. And then I'm going to lift this up, put this out, and without messing with any of the latches, I'm going to leave that in there like that. You can just put it over here in the back carrier of that. Okay, so I'm going to put my needles all the way down, all the way around. Make sure all of them. Now these gauges, you might wonder what they're for. That was an early effort to control latches, and it really does. It does a really good job of doing that, as long as they're not so far up that it's already closed before it even reaches the outer edge. Okay, so now I've got it. This is a 1x2 ribbing. It's all that you can get when you've got a 66 needle cylinder and a 22 needle ribber. So it's 1x2. So this will be my next, if I go 2 stitches over, that's my next rib stitch. And just twist it and slide it in. And go over 2 needles, twist it and slide it in. And I'm over here and I'm looking, and this is the one thing that's probably really infuriating for people that have never had a Tuttle and they first get one, is this getting ribbing started. And see, there's a latch there that opened up. And as you're sort of have to multitask a little bit when you have a Tuttle. You're over here, you're trying to pay attention, because if you pass this door, you have to wait till you come back around. There is no way to get those needles out of there and to twist them around. There really is no way to do it. So as you're cranking around, you're looking over here, but you're also not forgetting that if you advance too rapidly with your cranking, you're going to go past your door and you won't be able to get your needles into the ribber cone. You see how this is going? Okay. So I always twist. Well, I guess it depends on which way you think I'm twisting. I take the bed of the needle with my right hand and help lift it up over the rim and down into there's a little hole down in here too, not just this one, and that's the larger reason why you can't. It's because it isn't anywhere else around that you can get a needle into. All right. Okay. Okay, I got one more to go. All right, we're done. So there's your ribbon going. Shut the little door. And I'm going to adjust the yarn up a little closer. Alright, so we want to go as far as we can with the yarn we've got. That's one reason I really like the toe-up method, because I really waste very little yarn once you get a sense of how much you need to do your cast-off edge at the end, which is about 3 yards at most. Alright, so we're cranking our ribbing. We have 25 rows, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. I'm going to slow down just a little bit because I'm going to loosen this up just a bit. 50. Okay. So as it goes up the calf, it's a little looser. 60. So I'm going to go to 70 and do the same thing. Get there. You can do it every 5 rows. If you do it more often than that, it tends to show a bit much. Just going a half a notch. Okay, 80. Rows we can get. And 100. Can I get more out of that? What do you think? That's getting kind of down there. I think I'll go to 105. Alright, so we're at 105, and chances are that's going to be about as long as the one I did for this sock. It's not going to work. With ribbing of the rainbow sock completed, I begin to transfer the needles and stitches back to the cylinder. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shift to taking all of the needles out of the cone, back into the cylinder. I don't need to have my little door open for that. And I'm going to crank till I get here to the corner, right there. And I'll do it here. Now I'm going to be taking the stitch off the needle, like this, lifting the needle out, and slipping it back in there, and slipping the stitch back on. And then I'm going to come in, push my thumb in to kind of tighten it down. And as I go around, before this gets past this point, I'm going to lift these needles up out of work so that it can just bypass it and not try to knit it again. Okay? So that's what we're doing. The reason I have to work here is because there's that door opening to the Cone River that lets me get the needle out right here, and it's the only place you can get it out. So now I'm going to come back in and lift. I'm not going to lift beyond right next to the next needle that I need to transfer right here. Makes it too difficult to work around to have it up. This actually goes pretty quickly. Much easier than other machines that I've used. I realize that the Tuttle is a real challenge to folks. I honestly don't know, never having, outside of one instance, and that situation was the lady was struggling with her eyesight, and I think that had as much to do with it as the Tuttle itself. Her Tuttle actually was quite old. It was one of the first ones ever made, and it was a bit persnickety, I will say that. But once you got the sense of it, had I not had the experience, say specifically on a much newer one, meaning that this is probably 20, I'm going to guess, at least 20 years newer than the one that she had. Why folks have such a terrible time with using their Tuttles. I think it's a wonderful machine to use. When I'm just cranking socks for the family, all of us prefer the ribbing, every element, you know, the sock. It just produces such beautiful knitting. I'm not saying other machines don't produce beautiful knitting. I'm just, for whatever reason, within a family where we've got lots of different machines to choose from, this is the machine of choice. Or the socks that are produced, this is the machine of choice. It's also the only machine my daughters have enjoyed cranking on, or my granddaughters for that matter. But then they grew up knowing about this and about other machines, and it's not they haven't tried them, it's that they just prefer this one. Okay. It would be wonderful. You know, the Lamb company that produced these is still in business. They make tiny little circular items for medicine, and it would be wonderful if they'd be willing to try again. Make the Tuttle anew. Wouldn't that be wonderful? The needles are all back in the cylinder and up out of work. So it's time to lift the Cone River up and set it back. Okay. We have all of our needles up. I'm going to lift the river cone out like that, and my light out of the way, and swing it, shift it around to the back, and there's our beautiful ribbing. I think sometimes it even looks a little different on, you know, in the videos. It has such a definition to it. And it's because of the angle, the Cone River. Alright, so now I've got everything in line and ready for me to do my cast off. Now that you have seen how to do Tuttle ribbing, come back and join me as I show how to do a stretchy latch tool cast off in Knit and Rip. Look for Volume 3 of Tuttle Time videos.